Hey everyone, SweetJohnnyCage here, and today I'm here to talk to you about World of Warcraft Legion, the latest expansion that was announced by Blizzard today at Gamescom 2015. I also want to talk about the current state of WoW and some of my thoughts on it, and yeah, I guess I'll start off by saying that I've been playing WoW since November 2005 in vanilla. I skipped Burning Crusade, I had some personal stuff going on that I had to take care of during that time. Then I came back for Wrath, played Cataclysm, played Mists, and I've played Warlords. And there are a few things that I've noticed in that time, and I'll start off by saying that Wrath was my favorite expansion up until we had to wait over a year after Icecrown Citadel for Cataclysm to come. But you hear that a lot, that Wrath is a lot of people's favorites along with Burning Crusade. But the thing about Wrath that I think a lot of people forget is that the looking for group tool that was used, basically Dungeon Finder, actually came out in Wrath. It came out towards the very end. I believe it came out with the Icecrown dungeons, actually, in patch 3.3 or 3.2, something like that. But it came out at a time when servers were they still had these great communities to them. Everybody knew, who the trolls on the server were, who the best tanks on the server were, what the best guilds on the server were. And as time went on, especially in Cataclysm, dungeons felt like a crazy rep grind. Like, they were just crazy grinds. And it was nice having, being able to equip a tabard and just constantly running dungeons. But after you get all of your heroic gear, it's like, Jesus Christ, I'm just running these dungeons now. What is the point? And because of Dungeon Finder, servers lost their sense of community once it became cross-realm. And because of that, people just sat in cities and would just queue up dungeons and not move. They wouldn't go see the world. They wouldn't, go experience all this content that was out there for them to look at and listen to and interact with. They would just sit in Stormwind or Orgrimmar and just queue dungeons. And it got even worse with the introduction of Raid Finder, which was basically Dungeon Finder for raids. That came out with Dragon Soul, which is arguably the worst raid that Blizzard has ever done. Huge disappointment to me as a lore fan, especially from the little bit of a preview they gave at one conference where they said that you would fly on the back of Deathwing across Azeroth, and you end up just scratching his back over clouds. They had such an opportunity to just literally fly over zones, and get the scale of Deathwing by showing we are this high up and traveling this fast across the world. But instead, we just saw clouds and we would scratch his back. And then we gave him a manicure in the Maelstrom. Stupid. Anyway, so a recent report came out saying that, I think it was the Blizzard earnings report actually came out and said that World of Warcraft is down to about 5 million subscribers and 5.6 I think it was, and it hasn't been that low since November 2005, which is actually when I started playing. And it really seems to me like Blizzard doesn't know how to fix the problem, and they don't acknowledge the flaws in the systems that they've brought out, especially Dungeon Finder and Raid Finder. Now, yes, they are great tools for allowing people to experience content. However, because there's no community aspect on servers, they're simply sitting in their now garrison instead of a city and just queuing and not interacting with anybody. There's no sense of community or group when you're in a dungeon. Everybody's anonymous. No one cares. If the group sucks, you just leave and queue up another one. You don't try. You don't put effort into it. It's simply, oh, this tank sucks, I'm leaving. And, back in the day in Vanilla and Burning Crusade and Wrath, it was, no, we got to try this a few times because you waited 30 minutes to find a tank in the first place. And originally that was the goal of Dungeon Finder, was to reduce those wait times and just get you a tank, which was great. Those are my gripes with WoW right now, and with the announcement of Legion, I'm both excited and a little disappointed, and I have a feeling that this is the second to last expansion. I'd love to be wrong, but with the huge dip in subscribers, and this game has been going on 11 years now, came out in November 2004, so in 3 months it'll be 11 years. So I think this is the second to last expansion. And I'll explain why. So here we are at the Legion website. I opted into the beta already. So in the cinematic trailer, let's click on that real quick. I'll mute it because I just want to scrub through it. We see Gul'dan going through. I just muted you. We see Gul'dan going through what looks like a tomb. And I believe this is the Warden's area where the new demon hunters are kept by Maiev, Shadowsong. So we see him activate something, and a lot of people speculate that this is actually him, like, finding Illidan, and I think that's very true, simply because of the horns and the ponytail and the Alardi, the demonic tattoos around him. Looks like he's holding the Warglaives. So yeah, it's interesting that they're bringing him back, and Blizzard has said in the past that they wish to give Illidan some sort of redemption story. And we were told that Gul'dan is the final boss of the second raid in this new Legion expansion. So Gul'dan hopefully will die and not just have another setback in this expansion. So for that reason, I don't think Illidan is going to be a raid boss. In fact, I think we're going to work with him in this. And he already hates Gul'dan. I don't see a reason why he would work with him again, even if he was like freed or brought back to life or whatever by him. No way. So that was the cinematic teaser that they showed. Now let's go to the announcement trailer. So this is a quick recap of Warlords. We see Karazhan with Khadgar in crow form up top. This with buffer. Maybe this video is getting slammed or something. Anyway, so let's move on. This is the Tomb of Sargeras, which is on the new continent of the Lost Isles. And we'll talk about that too in a second. That's going to be the final raid, I bet. We see the Legion coming through. Now, as we go over the zones, let me find the zones. I'll go to the map down there. But this shot I actually found very interesting. This is almost like a recreation of when Medivh warns the former King of Stormwind about the invasion of the Burning Legion. And he comes in as a crow form and gives him the warning and leaves. And it's pretty reminiscent of that. And we can actually see a much older Anduin Wrynn standing next to him right there. Right here. So I'm very happy that Anduin is like aging throughout these expansions, because not a lot of people do. And it's good to show a progression of time with this game. So okay, we have the Demon Hunters, great. I'm not really going to talk about that. What I am going to talk about is the Broken Isles, and we're going to talk about the map here. So we have Val-Shirah, High Mountain, Stormheim, Suramar, Broken Shore, and As-Suna, as well as Dalaran down here. Dalaran holds a special place in my heart. Like I said, Wrath was my favorite expansion, and I love Dalaran. And, hopefully it doesn't change too much. I like sanctuary-type cities like Shattrath and Dalaran, bringing everybody together. Not being able to kill each other in a city is nice, and just having that separation. But again, it brings that community aspect back into the game. So I think that's a very good thing. So Broken Shore is supposed to be the intro questing area for this expansion. So that's that. And this should be somewhere off the coast of Eastern Kingdoms, although the Cataclysm, the second Cataclysm with Deathwing in the expansion may have moved it closer to the Maelstrom, so this should be off the coast of Eastern Kingdoms somewhere. Now, what's missing from this map, and which is upsetting me, is no Kul Tiras. And Kul Tiras was where Jaina Proudmoore is from, and her father was the ruler of Kul Tiras. And it should be here. Like everybody who... Broken Isles, sorry, I said Lost Isles before. Lost Isles was like the rumored name for a while. But, when everybody would talk about this rumored expansion, we were supposed to get Ashara, the Queen Ashara raid encounter. And we were also supposed to get Kul Tiras, which was a naval kingdom, a naval human kingdom that was part of the Alliance, but it's missing. And it's a shame, too, because it was in the original World of Warcraft manual, and it was also, it's been referenced before. Tol Barad was once ruled by Kul Tiras, and that was like their prison. So it's just strange that it's missing if this is supposed to be that area. Okay, so that's the continent. I'll go back to that in a bit. I want to talk about these NPCs we have here. So Maya of Shadowsong, she was in the Illidan Stormrage encounter at the very end. She's the one who, she had a big RP role throughout that back end of the Burning Crusade with the whole Black Temple raid. So she's back, which is good. I don't really want to talk to her about that much. Xavius. And Xavius is part of the Emerald Nightmare. And this is a problem that I sort of have with Warcraft as a whole right now, is that Xavius is a very old character, but he's never really been brought up in the games before, especially not World of Warcraft. And if you'll remember, Malfurion Stormrage was brought into World of Warcraft proper in Cataclysm. And we're never really told why. You were just told he woke up. What he woke up from at that time was he was stuck in the Emerald Nightmare, and it's because of this guy. So this guy is a huge, huge, huge part of Warcraft lore, especially Night Elf lore. So him just popping up, I feel like he may not get the treatment he deserves because he is basically responsible for the spread of the Emerald Nightmare inside of the Emerald Dream. And the Emerald Dream, again, is something that's not spoken too much about in the game, throughout any sort of cutscene or anything. It's in quest dialogue here and there, and it's referenced, but again, this is a huge thing that not a lot of people know about. And to just give you a quick recap, the Emerald Dream is basically another realm inside the world of Azeroth, but instead of having like Eastern Kingdoms, Kalimdor, Pandaria, and now the islands, it was Azeroth before the First Sundering. And what that means is that it's just one continent, and the Druids guard this. And Xavius, I believe he's the first of the Satyr. I could be mistaken on that, but he definitely has something to do with the Satyr and the Burning Legion. He created the Nightmare, which spread throughout the Emerald Dream and corrupted it. So he had, if you read the book Stormrage, which I'm not a big fan of Richard Knack's Warcraft novels, but it tells a huge story about Malfurion and Xavius. So I hope they give him, good treatment and tell his story. I have a feeling they won't. Moving on, Anduin Wrynn, heir to the throne of Stormwind. I'm very, very happy to see another updated model with him and him aging. And something to note at the very bottom, it says, as the Burning Legion threatens to annihilate Azeroth, Anduin will learn the true cost of peace and whether he's willing to pay it. This leads me to believe that Varian's going to die. And that's why they keep aging Anduin throughout the expansions. That's just my gut feeling through that line. And he's a very different... He would make a different type of ruler, simply because Varian is a warrior and Anduin is a priest, just to put it in class terms. Anduin's very diplomatic, whereas Varian and his other alter ego, Logosh, they conflict, and they often just want to spring to action and start killing people. So, Tide Mistress Athissa, don't know much about her, but again, I'm assuming this has to do with Queen Asharo and the rest of the Naga. This I found very interesting is Genn Greymane. And Genn Greymane he was the ruler of Gilneas, and he's essentially the head worgen. He sits to the left of Varian Wrynn in Stormwind, and after Cataclysm, never heard from him. Didn't really hear much from him after the intro worgen starting zone, even though he stands with Varian. So, because the Broken Isles are supposed to sit off the coast of Eastern Kingdoms, across from Gilneas, I have a feeling that he's going to have a huge role in this expansion, I hope, because he's a very cool character. Dargul the Underking, this is about the another race of Tauren, I think, or something like that. It's basically another faction or race that you're going to find in the new expansion. Khadgar. Basically, huge pivotal character throughout Warcraft history. He was Medivh's apprentice. Medivh was the former Guardian of Azeroth. He's the current Guardian of Azeroth. And I'm glad that he's going to be playing another big role in this expansion because I like the way that they're telling the story now. I like the way they're telling the story now in the sense that throughout all these cinematics, you're going to keep seeing more and more people. And, the story's just going to progress. So that's good. Gul'dan, again, we all know what he did in Warlords of Draenor. However, this is alternate reality Gul'dan. So this is not the same Gul'dan that, summoned the first invasion on Azeroth. This is a technically different Gul'dan. So sort of not feeling that, to be honest. Sylvanas Windrunner, the leader of the Forsaken or the Undead race for the Horde. I have a feeling that she's going to die in this expansion as well, because the Vrykul are coming back in this expansion. The Valkyr, sorry. The Vrykul are as well, which mean that the Valkyr should as well. And the Valkyr are basically keeping her alive. And I don't think she wants to be alive. So I have a feeling that's going to come into play. And of course, Illidan Stormrage is back. Very sick model, by the way. Loving that model. So yeah, what else do we have? I think that's it for this website. The artifact weapons. I'm not too big of a fan on this, to be very honest with you, especially Ashbringer. Ashbringer is wielded by Tyrion Fordring, and this is the blade that killed the Lich King. This is the blade that broke Frostmourne. And now everyone's going to have it? I mean, there was a quest in vanilla that no one did because I don't even think you could technically do it. You could find it on YouTube. It was in the game's code where if you recovered the corrupted Ashbringer from Naxxramas and then went on this big quest to purify it, when you did do that, you would walk into Scarlet Monastery and everyone would bow to you. They would kneel. This is a very serious weapon, and now everyone's going to have it. I really don't like that, especially the same thing with Doomhammer. It's a cool idea. I like the idea of being able to like quest for your weapons and bring back class quests, but Ashbringer, no, not a huge fan. The staves, I should say, are really cool. I like how it's the different gods from Pandaria. That's very cool. So yeah, that's basically a synopsis of Legion. The worlds, from what we've seen, look very cool. But again, I'm not sure how this is going to play out, because my current working theory is that Illidan, if he survives this expansion, which I think he will, the next expansion is going to be us going to Argus, which is the Burning Legion's homeworld, and ending them. Or they end us and Azeroth is screwed. And the reason I think that is because, like I said, WoW is currently down to 5.6 million subs, I believe. It's been going on 11 years. By the time this expansion ends, it will be 13 years. Then we get the next expansion, and then the servers are probably shut off. The servers probably shut off, and the expansion will end. The next expansion will end in 2019, which is the 15th anniversary. And I think what's going to happen is that if Illidan survives this, it's going to be us, Khadgar, Malfurion, Illidan, Tyrande, Tyrion, and everybody. We're basically going to go to Northrend, wake up Bolvar Fordragon, the current Lich King, and be like, look, dude, we got a problem. We need the Scourge. And then we are going to invade Argus with this gigantic, epic army and fight Sargeras in the homeworld and bring him down. And the only person who's ever touched Sargeras and harmed him in any sort of way was Broxagar back in, I think, like the War of the Ancients or something like that, and he died a second later. So they are sort of like the unstoppable force. I mean, they are literally infinite. They do not stop because demons are just created. They don't need a vessel or anything. It's just I need a demon, here's a demon. So we really basically have to kill Sargeras, and he has to be the final boss of Warcraft. And I think this expansion is leading into it. I'm a little surprised that the Legion is the next expansion. I figured it would focus on Queen Ashara, the Broken Isles, or the Lost Isles, or whatever that they're going to call it. Yeah, Broken Isles. And that, we would see the underwater raid that we were supposed to get to save Neptulon, or even fight Neptulon, that we were supposed to get in Cataclysm that never happened. We got Firelands instead, which I liked. I was a big fan of Firelands. But I wasn't expecting the Legion to be here. Story-wise, it makes sense, but I just thought that we would have 3 more expansions and not 2. But again, this is all pure speculation. Will I play it? Sure. I don't think this will spike up subscribers because it seems a little thrown together, honestly. And I know that's a bit of a rough thing to say, and that's not to discredit anybody at Blizzard. I know they all work very hard on making a great game for us. But having a continent like this, where we have Stormheim, which is the Vrykul again that escaped from Northrend, Dalaran's back, which everybody loves, or I loved. I know it was pretty popular. Like, it seems like they're mixing the 2 greatest expansions of the Burning Crusade and Wrath of the Lich King, throwing it into one, and being like, okay, please play this. This is everything you wanted in an expansion. Burning Legion's here, and we're gonna fight some Northrend-looking mobs. I don't know. It just seems a little thrown together. I'll play it for sure. I don't know if I'll raid. I don't really have time to do that anymore, but I am pretty excited for this expansion. I can't lie. It's just coming at an interesting time in WoW, and it seems a little weird. So who knows? Hopefully, we learn more about Illidan and the Demon Hunters through the intro quests. And I think that's a very good thing too, actually. Just like a little side note is the way they're doing the Demon Hunter quests, the intro quests for the hero classes, just like they did the Death Knights. Your main quest giver is going to be Illidan Stormrage, just like the Death Knights had Arthas, or the Lich King. And you're going to do some epic adventure through that. So I hope it works out. And, I'll definitely play a Demon Hunter, but yeah. All right. I know I haven't done a WoW video in a really long time. I don't really play much anymore, to be totally honest. But the lore keeps me coming back, and, hopefully this is a good expansion. So, all right. I'm around to talk, so if you guys want to chat, leave a comment below. Like, favorite, share, subscribe. That'd be great. I don't upload a whole lot of content, but I may do more videos like this because I have a lot to say about this sort of stuff. All right, guys, I'm SweetJohnnyCage. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.